Hi, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're doing well today. Hope you're having a really good day so far. Today I'm doing another Q&A. Don't worry, this is probably the last Q&A that I'll do in a while. This is not going to become a Q&A channel. I guess I'm going to have regular programming next week, just regular videos unrelated to questions, Q&As. So today I'm going to do part 2. So without further ado, let's just start. Taylor Red 247 asked, how do you feel about Candace Owens criticizing Harry Styles' Vogue cover? That is a really good question, actually. And this is a topic that we discussed in one of the episodes recently from our podcast. We have been brought up by a society and we've been conditioned to think that men can't wear certain things or do certain things because it'll make you less manly or doesn't make you a man. When in reality, what is considered being a man, right? We have to normalize that men can cry, that men can ask for help. Obviously, I'm going more deeper than what you wear. That's another thing as well. Who fucking cares if you want to paint your nails? That doesn't make you less of a man. You know, in my opinion, I feel like that makes you more of a man because you're more comfortable with you and your sexuality. There's just so much machismo, especially in the Latin community, speaking from my experience. And I am happy that it's changing. I feel like we're definitely making progress, but in order to normalize and I guess stop toxic masculinity, we have to continue having these conversations with people. And if you see someone perpetuating that conversation and that narrative, stop it right then and there. You know, it's not okay to criticize people first off for what they're wearing. I feel like that is so stupid, and especially with the newer generation, we have to be careful to not reprimand little boys because they're showing emotion or because they're not tough. Do you know what I mean? It's just all of these societal norms that have just been there. And like I said, in reality, what is masculinity? What is femininity? This is a whole nother video, but if you want to hear more of the conversation, it is on our podcast, the Woo Podcast, on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Anthony G asked, is there something you wish you knew how to do but haven't learned how to do it yet? Handstands. Is that silly? I used to be able to do handstands, but I couldn't hold it up for a while, the handstand. So I want to do some sort of I don't know, I've seen some videos on TikTok where actual acrobatic walking up the stairs, doing handstands. I want that that mobility and strength. I'm practicing, but I'm nowhere near that. If you could go back in time and change one thing, good or bad, what would it be? That is a really good question. I don't know. I honestly don't think that I would go back and change anything because it's corny as it sounds. I feel like everything in my life and everything I've gone through, we all go through things, but everything that I've gone through has made me who I am today. I wouldn't change anything. I even thought to myself not long ago, sometimes, especially going through, I don't want to talk about this all the time, but I feel like it's part of my story, so I don't want to also not talk about it. But it's no secret, I went through a breakup over a year ago. And after that, I was like, fuck this, fuck relationships, this sucks, I don't want to go through this again. But now, looking back, for example, I used to think oh man, I wish I never got into that relationship, But now I think differently. If I didn't go through all of that, I wouldn't have had those amazing memories. I wouldn't have learned what it is to love like that. I wouldn't have experienced the pain and the growth that I've had since the breakup. So even those hardships and all of that can help you grow and help you learn more about yourself. And I used to hear that all the time, or I'd read about it when it's oh, you'll go through stuff and you'll go through tough times and you'll get to know yourself more. And I used to think, how do you get to know yourself more? But now that I'm on the other side, I can truly say through all of that, it's made me a stronger, more aware about myself as well, and what I want, what I deserve, what I'm willing to put up with. So I wouldn't change anything, good or bad, for anything. Any tips to stay optimistic? I know, especially with this year, it can be really hard to stay optimistic sometimes. If you're going through something or you're having a rough day, or you're woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and you're finding it hard to stay optimistic, what helps me is to shift my direction towards gratitude. It's perfect timing, especially with Thanksgiving tomorrow. The more you focus on something, the more that thing is gonna grow. It's kind of like a plant. The more you feed your mind negative thoughts, which we all have those, especially some thoughts that we're conditioned to think growing up. And most of those thoughts, like I said, aren't even fully real most of the time. It's just things we're telling ourselves to protect ourselves. The more you're watering the positive side, the more positivity will grow around you, the more you'll attract that. We're energy. If you change your direction and you start to water the gratitude plant and start focusing on things you're grateful for, things you can control, things that you have in front of you. For example, I'm thankful for this camera, thankful for you, thankful that you're watching this. I'm sure you're watching this through a phone or through a computer. Be grateful for that. But even more so than material things, I don't know, be grateful for your health, for the roof over your head, I'm sure you can find a few things to be grateful for, even through tough times. And I feel like that just changes the energy within yourself. Instead of focusing on things you don't have, things you could have, things that could be better, just think of wow, I'm grateful to even wake up to a new day. You know what I mean? Especially with this pandemic going on, the fact that we're alive is big. So that's my advice, to stay optimistic. How to win any situation in your life? I don't know. That's a good question too. I guess to try your best. That's all you can really do is try your best. And as long as you're doing it for the right reasons and for yourself, and you're competing within yourself, and it's not like a competition, then I feel like there's no way you can lose. You know what I mean? If you're also kind of trying to learn a lesson with that situation, like even if it doesn't go your way, like what could you learn with that? Like I feel like that's an easy win. It's like if you get something out of it like that, whether it's if you lose, there's like a lesson to it as well. I hope that made sense. I don't know. Would you ever film a video while high, or have you? I have never filmed a video while high. Maybe if I was doing it with someone else, but I don't smoke weed. I used to. The reason I stopped, not that you asked, but the reason I stopped was because the last couple of times I smoked, I would get really anxious, and that's not really cool. I don't really get anxious. I don't really have anxiety. But when I was high those nights, the last multiple times before I stopped, I would get really paranoid and in my head and anxious, and my heart was just racing. How do you get through the days that you are down the most? Kind of what I was saying a little bit ago about gratitude, focusing my energy and thoughts on that. But also there are days that you're just down and you can't. Speaking for myself, I allow those feelings to kind of pass. I try to ride the wave of that. If I'm having a down day or I'm sad about something, I don't try to neglect that and push it away. I try to just kind of ride it, and I just kind of ride the wave and allow it to pass, and just try to, like I said, focus on things you can control, focus on things that make you feel good. But sometimes you just need a day or a few hours to just sit in that those emotions. Just let it come up, let it pass. And I always say tomorrow's a brand new day. It's a brand new start. Do you have any fetishes? Something about hands for me. And what else? Good hands, by the way. I like role playing. It's pretty fun. Handcuffs are great. I don't know if that's a fetish. Introvert or extrovert? I would have to say I'm an ambivert, but I did a personality test a while back, and it said that I was 52% introvert. Sorry, and the rest extrovert. And that's how I feel. I feel like I'm an introvert masked as an extrovert. Is that right? People could mistake me for an extrovert because I can be really social. I can be very outgoing. I am outgoing, especially with social settings. I can just talk to anybody. I can work the room. I can be your Libra. I can just be super social, but I do prefer more tame and chill environments, and I love being at home. So yeah, I enjoy being out. I can have a good time, but I can't do it too often because I get very I need to replenish my energy at home. Do you know what I mean? What about you? Are you more introverted or extroverted? I'm really curious. Let me know in the comments. And don't get confused with some people think extroverts, introverts has to do with shyness, or that all introverts are shy, but that's not really the case. Introverts get their energy or their battery charged if they're at home, and if they're too much out there, they get the energy kind of drops. Whereas you're an extrovert, if I'm not mistaken, you charge and get energy by being out and being with people. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end the video off here. Hopefully you enjoyed this Q&A. I'll take a break on the Q&As for a little while. If you guys haven't listened to the podcast, please check it out, the Woo Podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video. Adios.